Original North East Lincolnshire drama. The Grimsby Chums by A.J. Evans.
Are you okay, Annie?
Not really. Did you hear about Agnes Smith?
I heard she's off work. Something about burns.
She was stirring the mix as it boiled, and she slipped. She's burned her right hand really badly. No one's exactly sure what she did, and they all say it's because she wasn't properly trained to do the job.
Oh, Annie, that's terrible. Will she be able to work again?
They don't think so, Peggy. Not with her being right-handed.
Awful. Just awful. We need to be really careful. Not so bad bottling up today, but boiling the jam up needs every bit of attention.
Oh, I could fall asleep on my nose. We've been at it so long. Today seems to have gone on forever. Anyone know what year it is?
1926 by now, I reckon.
Oh, so the war is over then. Did we win?
Of course we won. It's all done by Christmas 1914. Everyone knows that. Beat the Jerry's hands down.
So if the war's over, what are we doing working like mad to fill these jam pots?
Well, we're not really here. This is all just an illusion. You've been mesmerised down the music hall. You're all imagining this. You're actually on stage in front of 500 people, Mull.
Does that mean we can sit down and rest our feet then?
It might mean you're actually there now. Down in the cheap seats with Joe, enjoying the show.
Oi! We never buy the cheap seats. Nothing but the best for us.
The royal box for madam and sir.
I'd rather be anywhere than Tickler's right now.
Don't let the governor see you saying that. She'll bring the birch in for you if you talk like that. We're doing vital war work, ladies, and don't you forget it, she'd say.
Vital war work. We'd be better off working at the munitions factory if we wanted to do vital war work.
That's too dangerous if you ask me. They're very sensitive, those shells and explosives.
Try telling Agnes Smith it's more dangerous. Still, if you stick to the right way of doing things, jam can burn you, but it won't blow your hand off.
Well, you say that, but I had a letter from my brother the other day. He says that they keep the empty tins that the jam came in, fill 'em with shrapnel and a fuse, pack 'em with gunpowder, light 'em and fling 'em as bombs into the German trenches. Tickler's artillery, they call it.
Did you ever hear such nonsense? As if they need to do that. I tell you what, though, if they really want to scare the Hun, send them over a bunch of us girls. Tickler's angels would see the Kaiser on his way down soon enough, especially if the governess was leading from the front.
It's true. Her brother says that too.
You don't want to believe the tales the boys tell you. They're in the Chums. It's not like they've seen real action yet, is it? I mean, there was all this fuss about rounding up a battalion from Grimsby, but all they really seem to have been doing for the past 2 years is training. What's more, they spent a large chunk of that training without uniforms or weapons. Come to think of it, they probably did train by throwing tins of jam at each other. Mind you, they didn't need to pack the tins with explosives. Have you tasted the apple and plum?
I know. I can't taste apple or plum. Just tastes horrible.
Well, it's been good enough for the British Army since the Boer War, so it can't be that bad.
What do you girls think you're doing? Idly gossiping when you should be working. And look at the state of the floor. May I remind you that cleanliness is next to godliness. Peggy, get a broom right this instant and sweep up that waste. Don't you girls appreciate that we are doing vital war work here? Are you laughing at me, girl? I'll have you know, my sons are serving in France as we speak, and I will not have anyone laughing at the work we're doing here at Tickler's. Our jam helps keep the morale up. Now, stop gossiping and get on with your work. You're nowhere near finishing your quota for the day.
Dear Peggy, I hope all my girls are safe and well. I'm not allowed to tell you where we are, but we have been moved up the line and we are nearer the action. Don't worry though, because I am safe and the trenches provide excellent cover from any stray bullets. The boys are in good cheer as we are not really involved in frontline action yet. We seem to spend most of our days sorting out our kit, digging, carrying or marching. Hardly any thought of fighting as it goes. If we're not on duty, we mostly read or play cards, and on Sundays we get to church parade. It's funny, I was never keen on going to church when I lived at home, and yet we always did. We taught Elizabeth and Patricia to say their prayers every night, and yet it never really meant much to me. Nowadays, if I can't get to church, I find myself trying to make time to say my prayers privately. I always pray for you and the girls, and for a swift end to this nonsense, so that I may return home and see you all again. Your loving husband, Joseph.
I knew I'd find you tucked away in a corner somewhere, Robertson, shirking any real responsibility, just to get your letter to the missus written.
Leave it out, Woody. We all have to find some peace and quiet when we can. And if I know you, you're not here looking for me. You're looking for somewhere out of sight for that crafty smoke, so Jerry doesn't see the Lucifer spark up.
Joe, my old son, you know me just a little bit too well. Guilty as charged. I'm dying for a smoke. You got a light? I dropped my matches when out to get that dressing pack out for Stevens earlier. They fell in the mud, never to be seen again.
Tell me about it. I lost a cap badge exactly the same. The Sergeant Major hasn't let me forget it. I can't wait till he loses something and we can all have a good laugh at his expense then.
Has he been banging on about your tin hat and gas mask again?
As in, your helmet will be your best friend. It won't stop a bullet, but will stop red-hot pieces of shrapnel splitting your skull from a great height when a shell explodes above you.
That and... Your gas mask is your best friend. Have you ever seen a man drown in his own bodily fluids because he couldn't get a mask on in time? You must keep your gas mask with you at all times.
Funny, because he used to tell us that our rifles were our best friend. The man has no appreciation of the definition of best friend.
How do, boys? Very cosy. The Hun not discovered your little hidey hole yet, then? What you up to?
Smoking.
Let her home. You?
Just the afternoon constitutional? I like to imagine as I tread these boards that I'm walking along the prom at Cleethorpes, in the sunshine, smiling at all the girls who pretend they don't notice you. But you know that's why they're out, really.
I miss the sea air.
Off the Humber? Are you kidding me? When the wind shifts, all you can smell are the fish docks. It's hardly fragrant, it stinks. Don't you miss it, though? I mean, you know, it's not a smell you get here, is it? Makes me think of home.
Beats the smell of burning flesh, that's for sure.
I never imagined for a moment, back in the days of the technical college, that we'd all be here trying to cover our noses to escape that smell. Stream wouldn't have been able to cope with it, though.
Oh, I don't know. He could have filled out most of it before it reaching his nose, with that blessed moustache of his.
It didn't even occur to me as we walked through Cleethorpes, when we passed out. Soldiers. Every one of us by then.
I was too busy trying to charm the ladies. It's true. They do love a man in uniform.
Absolutely tickable of you, Stan. We're all getting ready for war and you're getting ready to woo.
As well might you have been, if not for your ball and chain at home.
I wouldn't swap my ball and chain for the world. She's my rock. I love my rock. And my little pebbles. The way I thought it was vital, I volunteered. We can't just give in to those Huns. After what they did to Belgium, I'll not see them going over to England and defiling the country and its people.
Oh, spoken like the love-struck patriot we all know you are.
Well, what about you, then? What makes a dyed-in-the-wool cynic like you want to join up?
I don't want to miss out on a game like this.
A game? Are you kidding me? This is no game. Jerry shoots to kill, not to score goals. And we haven't dug miles of trenches and carried tons of ammonal across France as part of a game. We're here to take them down. Make them pay. To pack the Kaiser off to Potsdam. It's what the King expects of us.
I thought I told you to sweep up this mess. What do we pay you for? You waste as much as you pack. This is vital war work.
Sorry, Mum. I did sweep up, but it only takes someone to open the door and the draft sends everything flying all over the place.
I don't need excuses. Just sweep up and keep it clean and start putting some effort into sealing those pots. We haven't got all day. The next batch of fruit has just arrived from Laceby. We need to get a move on. It doesn't sort and grade itself.
Excuse me, ma'am. Your sons are all in the Chums, aren't they?
Indeed they are. They are doing their bit for the war effort, which is more than I can say for some people standing around here.
Are you going to see the film at the Tivoli, ma'am? I've heard they're finally going to show it at the start of July.
Of course I shall see the film. Who wouldn't want to see our boys training at Brocklesby? My sons assure me that the cameraman was most complimentary about how they looked through the lens. He told Stanley that he could be a matinee idol when the war is over. Most heroic. I believe he called him. He said our boys are the true embodiment of patriotism.
I'm guessing that no one will be able to tell the difference between our boys and the regular army anymore. They've spent that long in training camps, drilling and whatnot.
Well, as proud as I am of my boys, I don't intend to allow it to affect production at Tickler's, or else our boys won't have a sweet treat with their tea in a few weeks. I'll be back in 5 minutes, and I expect to see your station clean and tidy, and a significant improvement in the numbers passing through.
Molly, you gotta stop trying to get her involved with us. She gives me the creeps. Everything about her sends shivers down my spine. I don't know why, but I always worry I've done something wrong when she comes round.
Well, in fairness, you usually have. I assume you're going to the Tivoli then, Moll?
I expect it'll be a sellout. Everyone round here will want to go. The whole of Grimsby and Cleethorpes.
Not everyone has relatives in the Chums, Molly. There's plenty of other Grimsby men serving elsewhere. Navy, Air Corps, other regiments, even the Royal Lincolnshire Regiment. You don't see the fuss made about all them, do you? It's just because Lady Doughty keeps writing about them in the Telegraph. Anyone would think they were the only men from this town doing their bit. And that's just not true.
No one's saying that others aren't serving too, Annie. We all know that the boys in the fishing fleet have been doing their bit, and you only have to look at those forts on the Humber to know that sea power is vital to our protection. But these boys, our boys, they're together, side by side, serving with their schoolmates, their workmates, their brothers, with their chums.
I was told that they are the only battalion who call themselves chums. Even Hull's boys are called the Pals. We're unique.
Oh, well, that's all right. Come on. Let's get this lot tidied before the governess comes back and sends us overseas to help with the war effort.
These are getting too close for my liking, boys.
Was that one of theirs or one of ours?
Ours? Theirs? Who cares? Could be either. I don't think the powers that be really care where it lands as long as it makes a big bang and some jerrys come off the worse for it. They don't worry about the oaks like us. It's only the officers they care about.
This has been going on for days now. Something massive must be due to happen soon. The mood was all up to the front line. They've been digging the mines. Who knows how many tons of shells have been fired over our heads into that lot. There's a push due. I just wish someone would tell us what it is and when.
It's true. The waiting and not knowing. It's one of the worst things.
Not true. Getting a red-hot lump of shrapnel through your skull is worse. Or getting one in the legs and having to have it cut off. Not knowing is a blessing, really. I'm sure we can all think of worse bits of the body to get blown off though, mate.
Has anyone got a spare postcard or writing paper? I'm nearly out and I need to send a message to my girls.
Seriously, you keep the postal service in business single-handedly.
It's like they say, you never know which bullet's got your name on it.
Well, Mr. Morbidity has definitely come to town today, boys.
I just want to make sure they know I love them and they have something to remind them of me. If anything happens.
Listen, mate. If anything is going to happen to anyone, it won't be you. You'll be in a little foxhole somewhere, right into the family. It'll be mouthy fellas like me who can't sit down and shut up long enough and feel the need to be involved in everything.
What about your family?
Mate, I've got one brother and one mother. He writes home regularly enough and gives her all my news.
Really? You let your brother tell your mum how things are going with you? Why don't you do it?
Life's too short. Surely you can see that. Besides, I'm busy with a little mademoiselle we met in Albert a few weeks ago.
You and Maria, what's it?
Marie Claire, yes. We shared a rather special moment together.
Don't hold out on us, would he? Tell us more detail.
A gentleman never tells. And nor do I, either.
You men, what do you think you're playing at? Sitting round doing nothing. There's plenty more ammo needs shifting yet.
Yes, Sergeant.
Yes, Sergeant.
And pick up those blessed tin hats. Why did we ever waste some money buying them for you to use as seats or to leave behind because your delicate little flower like you couldn't find the energy to carry them? And make sure you've got your gas masks too. How many times do I have to drum it into you?
Sergeant?
Yes, Robertson.
You got any idea when we'll find out what's happening with the Chums?
Trust me, Private. As soon as I know, you'll know.
Just need the bloody generals to tell us then, Sergeant.
Very funny, Wood. Hilarious. Helped me pick my guts up off the floor, my sides split laughing and they all fell out.
Good one, Sergeant.
Now shut it. and get on with shifting and carrying. Oh, and Shakespeare, put the letter away before you do. You don't need to tell the missus every little thing you do here. There's a cart of animal that he's bringing up carefully to a pile ready to go down in the mine.
More aminal, Sergeant? Are we planning on blowing a hole through to the Kaiser's palace?
Ha ha, very funny. Get a move on, Sonny Jim.
Ladies, I do not believe that the standards in this factory are so low that I should expect to see friends in low places scuttling about the floor of the factory.
Oh, miss, it's not fair. They're coming with the fruit on the wagons from the farm, and once we started to grade everything and sort the fruit, they jump out before we can do anything about it.
I don't want excuses, ladies. I want one of you to chase them with a broom if needs be. Shoo them out or just squash them. I don't care. But I don't want to see them running around on the floor. Now, on with your work.
I'm not chasing them. I hate them. One of them jumped out the other day, ran up my pinny and leapt off before making a break across the floor, under a table and behind a cupboard. There's hundreds of the blighters round here. Oh, sets my heart racing, they do.
They're not hurting anyone. If she wants some chasing, she can do it herself. If we spent time catching all those creatures, there'd never be any jam made. She'd blame us for that then.
Some people are destined never to be happy, and their governess is one of them.
I heard from someone that she's been doling out white feathers in her spare time.
Really? You're not making this up?
Just telling you what I was told. They said she's given white feathers to some of the men that still work at the farm.
Who told you that? Sounds to me like someone's stirring things.
I'm not lying, Annie, I swear. Sarah Roberts told me that she'd heard it from the old boy who drives the cart. That's why he doesn't like to deliver when the governess is about. Not too keen to get one for himself.
She must realise that reserved professions don't have to sign up.
I've heard her saying things before, I suppose.
Like what?
Well, she does like to play the martyr and tell everyone how she sacrificed her family for the war effort, sending 3 boys and all.
Bet they didn't take much persuading to get away from her. Probably leapt at the chance.
I've got visions of her shooing them off to the chums with a broom.
Yeah, and squashing them if they wouldn't go.
Come on, son, we've no time for that. Put that cigarette out, get yourself down behind the sandbags.
Could have done with digging this one deeper, I reckon, Sarge.
Deeper and longer so we could be further back.
How far back could suit you?
I'd say Hayton Square would do nicely.
Oh, you boys are so hilarious. Just get down and fix your bayonets.
But we're shelling them, Sergeant!
Doesn't matter, son. Be prepared.
I suppose so. The Hun can get a bit disorientated and wander over to the wrong trench when the shells and the smoke change the landscape so quickly.
Quick reactions, boys. See a Hun and stick in one. Only shoot if there's no other choice. It's quieter and saves bullets.
Can you see anything out there, apart from the smoke?
Hang on, I'll try and check.
Smithy!
Joe, help me get him down here!
I told you, keep your heads down, you idiots! They'll have seen your cigarette and had the sniper ready for the first sign of movement.
Tin hats don't help much.
Not bulletproof, you idiot.
Smithy! Norman!
He's gone, Woody. You've got his blood on you. Here, wipe your hands on this.
How many times do I have to warn kids like you?
We're not children, Sergeant Shaw.
You're all kids compared to me.
Smithy, did he just say something? I think he's still with us.
His eyes just flickered. Get him out of here, call for a medic.
Norman? Smithy? Are you with us? Smithy?
The Sunday night play. The story continues next. And now the concluding part of this evening's Sunday night play.
So I got a letter saying that one of his mates was shot right in front of him.
So they're on the front now, fighting.
I'm not really sure. I think so, but they're not really allowed to say where they are exactly.
Or what they're up to, I suppose.
I thought they were just, digging trenches and getting bedded in. That's how you said Joe painted the picture.
Doesn't sound like that to me. I get the impression his friend's on his way home, probably back already.
Did they get sent home?
I think they patch them up and send them back as soon as they can. I don't know about Norman, though. I think he may have lost an eye. I don't suppose he'll be much use only having one eye.
I saw a soldier in town helping to recruit. He only had one arm and he had an eye patch, but he was still doing his duty.
What do you say to Joe in your letters, Peggy? You two seem to spend a fortune sending stuff to each other. Do you write every day?
I just tell him about my day. Oh, about the girls. About work, you know.
Every day?
Most days, yes.
I'd run out of things to tell him if it were me.
You hear about the labelling girls?
Labelling girls?
They've been writing messages on the back of the labels before they stick them on and send them off to the front.
What sort of messages?
Anything, really. Just cheeky messages from the home front. Let them know someone's thinking of them while they're out there.
You know what would be funny? If one of the tins thrown at the Germans had something like "Love from Tickler's Angels," and a German sees it and it blows up.
Dear Joe, your letter finds us all in good spirits. Elizabeth's hay fever is clearing up now and her eyes are no longer itching and she's sleeping better at night now. The work at the factory is hard, but the girls make it fun. I suggest you try to peel off a label or two from a jam pot if you get near one, as I am told there are messages penciled on the back by the girls at the factory. Everyone here is looking forward to seeing the film at the Tivoli next week. The girls are really hoping to see you. They are so proud of what their daddy is doing. Patricia keeps asking how many days before we see it. Is there anything we should look out for when we watch it? I'm sorry to hear about Norman. I've spoken to his mother and she says that the doctor says your quick work looking after him probably saved his life. He has lost his eye, but is in good spirits at the convalescent hospital and is talking about doing some war work when he is up and about, properly, but he won't return to active service. The papers have given us an idea of what's happening overseas and we are pleased to hear that things are going well and that the Germans are losing heart. Oh yeah. They've really lost a taste of it, haven't they? Are the press really telling them the truth? The whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Joe, keep your head down, mate.
Wasn't really planning on doing anything else, to be honest.
At least they're not breaking out the gas this time.
Well, that's a blessing, but I'm not leaving the gas mask behind any time soon. Let's move back and see if there's any word on where the sergeant wants us to be.
No need to move back, son. Just get your rifle through the gap and start returning fire. Word has it they aim to come at us hard any time now. I want every man, bayonet fixed and firing into no man's land as soon as you see any movement. Fix bayonets!
I can't see anything moving, Sergeant. It's all just smoke.
Don't move from there, son. We need all eyes on the enemy.
So, the Chums film is being shown at the Tivoli next week.
At last. Seems like an age since they filmed us at Brocklesby. Did you see my last boxing match they filmed? They were hysterical. We were dancing about, threw a few punches at each other, then suddenly I went down. Totally staged.
Oh yeah, totally. I'm sure. Nothing to do with him clumping you then.
He never did. I just wanted to get noticed so people will know it's me when they show it.
That sounds about right with you. You never take anything seriously.
Shut up. Hey, is that something moving out there? Can you see? Is that something moving out there? Are they coming?
Where are you looking, Jacko? I can't see anything.
Straight ahead. I'm looking straight ahead. Do I shoot?
Did you get him? Was it Jerry?
I don't know. Can't see.
Wait, there, in the smoke, it's a dog. A flipping dog.
Did I get it? Is it dead?
Well, it's running away from us, so I don't think so.
What's a flipping dog doing out here? It's cats who are supposed to have 9 lives, not dogs.
It's a good thing for Fido. You're such an awful shot, Jacko.
Ah! Woody!
Joe.
Woody, stay with
Joe.
us. Oh, look at me, Stan. Look at
Gone,
me.
mate. Let him go. Come on, Joe. He's gone.
Someone get his brother. He needs to know.
Right, are you ready? Let's test the jam.
It's not been 40 minutes yet.
It's half an hour. So if we test it and it's not ready, we can leave it a bit longer.
Well, if you say so. I think it could do with a bit more heat for a bit longer.
Annie, come and judge this for us. You can be the neutral one. Right, pass me the ladle and we'll just pour a bit out.
Well, it's sort of jellying, isn't it?
No, I think you were right. I think it needs another 5 or 10 minutes.
Don't ever do it though. It stinks if you burn it. Plus the governess will demand blood if we waste the war effort food.
Watch out, she's coming.
Ladies, how is the boarding going?
It just needs a few minutes longer.
Well, let's not tarry.
Hello.
I was told I could find a Miss Margaret Wood here. I've got a telegram.
I'm Mrs. Wood.
Oh no.
But you don't think...
It can't be.
Oh no! Mrs. Wood, what is it?
Not my son!
Molly, go and get a blanket or something. Annie, see if we can get a cup of tea. And we need to get that jam off before it burns.
Stanley!
Can anybody help us here, please? I have to deal with this.
So this is it. Our briefing. What do you expect them to say to us today?
That England expects. Just like on the Chums postcard.
Keep it down, you two. You need to listen. This is serious.
Now, you don't need me to tell you that this is the big one. The all-out assault we were hoping will break the Huns' front line, destroy their forces, and allow us to march right through to the Kaiser's palace. But it all starts here. As well you know, the sappers have been hard at work tunnelling below us. They've managed to mine below Jerry's trenches. They have placed an unprecedented amount of explosive materials below said trench, and we aim to detonate same on given signal. This explosion will allow the men along the line to simply march forward, take the ground before them with little or no resistance.
Won't they suspect something is up before we detonate, sir?
This attack will be preceded by an enormous artillery barrage designed to terrify and lower the enemy's resolve. The guns will fall silent. After a short pause, we will detonate the ammonol, and after a further pause, allowing the detritus to clear, the whistle will sound. We simply emerge from our trenches and walk forward towards the enemy's line. Each line of men passing them will rise, walk forward, and then drop, and so on, returning any small arms fire or final resistance offered by the Hun before their inevitable retreat.
Sounds too good to be true if you ask me.
Nobody is asking you anything, you horrible little fishmonger, you.
I'm not, Sergeant.
Not what?
The fishmonger, Sergeant. I was going to university, Sergeant.
If I say you slice and dice fish, then you slice and dice until I say stop. You understand? Now the captain has outlined clearly the plan for the big push. Which part of the plan did you fail to comprehend, Jackson?
It's not that I don't understand, Sergeant. It's just... well, it doesn't seem to allow for anything to go wrong on our part, Sergeant. It assumes that everything will go exactly as planned, Sergeant.
Which is precisely how it will work, Private. These plans have been drawn up by the finest military minds in the Empire, probably the world.
If you say so, Sergeant.
I do say so, Sonny Jim. I do say so. And you'll do well to remember that. Because I tell you what, the Red Caps will be located at the trench, and any man returning before the battle is won will be ruddy well shot as a deserter.
We won't be turning round, Sergeant. Not the Chums. We'll be there for each other. It means too much to let down your pals, your workmates, your schoolmates, or your family. We'd be dishonouring the name of Grimsby itself if we took a backward step.
Well put, Private Robinson. Lord Kitchener himself couldn't have said it better.
It sounds like it's almost over. Like we're about to win the war.
You really think so?
There's such an air of optimism in the papers. The Germans are packing their bags practically on their way home as we speak.
How long will it be before all the Chums can get home again once the war ends? I mean, I know they can't get back really quickly, but do you think they'll allow them to come back within the next month or so?
I think it takes longer than that, Molly. They have 1 million men or more to demobilise. I'm guessing it's a big task for any army to achieve. It'll take a while, I suspect.
But before Christmas? I mean, it's June already, so perhaps 6 months from now?
We can hope, love. Hope and pray.
Anyway, it's the film in a couple of days. We can see all the boys then. Joe says to look out for the boxing match because his chum, Thomas Jackson, takes a dive.
Are you dressing up for the film, Peggy? I mean, dressing in something special.
Oh, I hadn't really thought about that. After all, it's meant to be unpatriotic to dress extravagantly in time of war. I'll probably dress the girls up. We'll see.
Do you think the governess will make it to the cinema now? I mean, how awful would it be if she saw the son who died marching round on the screen?
I hadn't thought about that. That would be awful. Like watching ghosts, but ghosts that we knew.
That's too grim by far. It's meant to be uplifting.
Right, you lot, over here now. I trust you all had a hearty breakfast.
I would have preferred a slightly later wake-up call, Sarge. 04:30? Bit early, don't you think?
You've had a whole nearly 3 hours to wake up, Robertson. I need you ready in your jumping off position.
Here, Joe, let me check your kit. Then you check me.
I'll tell you what, I'm no big drinker, but I could have taken every man Jack's shot of gin today. I'm not sure I'm ready for this, Fred.
When is anyone ready for this, Joe? Fear is your friend. Fear will keep you alive. If you stop being afraid, then you become lazy. Stay scared, Joe.
No argument from me.
0 is at 0730, men. That'll be the cue to blow the aminal. Get ready, men. 3, 2, 1.
Joe, I can't see. Can you?
Too much Jeffries, Jacko. Just stay close, we'll be fine.
Come on, boys, follow me. Over here, quick march.
Joe, it's short, the crater. It's in front of the trench, not underneath it.
What do you mean? I still can't see clearly.
The crater is about 200 feet in front of the trench. We have to go round.
Go round? It's too far. Forward, men! Forward!
Sergeant Shaw!
Too late, Jacko. Keep going. We can't go back.
We're dropping like flies.
We all queued at the Tivoli to see the boys. The headlines had told us how things were going. This would become the Battle of the Somme, etched into the memory of the British psyche forevermore.
Oh yes, the papers. The headline read, "Comparatively light losses."
It told how, on the British front, the Germans redoubled their efforts and massed a large number of divisions against the English. The battle was particularly sanguinary. I don't know what that means.
It was especially fierce in Thiepval, La Boisselle sector. They told us that the British succeeded in smashing the German front and seizing La Boisselle. The number of prisoners taken on the entire attacking front was 13,500.
So we thought, no mentions of casualties, must be good news. And we trotted off to the Tivoli to see our loved ones. My girl sat there in the dark, full of hope. Daddy will come. Daddy will come.
The governess stayed away. She was almost a recluse, having lost a child. No parent should have to bury their child.
No parent should have to bury two of them. Marguerite Wood lost 2 sons on the Somme. No one could tell her how her second son died. She would come to consider receiving the news of her first son getting shot to be a blessing in years to come, as she became consumed by the grief of not knowing the fate of her remaining son.
I had one more letter from Joe, sent the day before the push. Like everything he'd sent before, he remained upbeat. He didn't tell us about what was to come. He didn't tell us if he was worried. He didn't tell us what to do if he never came back. He never said. And now he can never say. 3 weeks later, I found out that he was missing, presumed dead.
But Peggy told us that the girls saw their daddy on the screen at the Tivoli. Peggy couldn't see him, but she didn't want to deprive her girls of their happiness.
At the end of the first day of the Battle of the Somme, over half of the battalion were lost or fallen.
Most within the first 20 minutes of action.
The town would, eventually, realise the truth of its situation. A generation lost to man's folly.
Never to return to the banks of the Humber.
Many never even saw the day past 8 a.m. on July the 1st, 1916.
The 10th Lincolnshire Regiment served with pride until the end of the war, when the battalion was disbanded.
The Grimsby Chums were no more.
For the next 20 years, the veteran survivors met annually to toast the lives of those lost.
until once again the clouds of war loomed over Europe, and a new generation would be called to serve.
However, the Battle of the Somme remains the British Army's single worst day of action in history.
It's bloodiest and it's most deadly.
But the Chums will never be forgotten. Their lives, their sacrifice, the pride that they brought to the town. The only Pals battalion ever to bear the name of Chums. At the rising of the sun and the going down of the same, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
The Grimsby Chums by A.J. Evans, Peggy Robertson, Joe Moore, Molly Dobson, Sarah Beasley, Annie Benson, Della Brett. The Governess, Mrs. Marguerite Wood, Janine Reeder. Private Joseph Robertson, Kieran James. Private Norman Smith, Cade Sleeth Wilding. Private Stanley Wood, John Ferguson. Private Thomas Jackson, Adam Fielding. Sergeant Shaw, Luca Lloyd Johnson. Officer, Andy Evans. Postal worker, Joss Moore. Music by Accordion Stew. Audio production, Emma Wapshot. Edited, produced and directed by Joss Moore. A Radio-Rama production in association with A.J. Evans for Compass FM. And now the concluding part of this evening's Sunday night play.